এই তো
ওটা সবসময় মিউট করে রাখতে হবে, তুমি বুঝতে পারছো না নাকি?
আচ্ছা ঠিক
হ্যাঁ, এটা কিছু করেই না,
গুগল
সবাই শুনে নিল আমাদের।
এন স্যার জয়েন করেছেন, স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
আচ্ছা স্যার, আমার এই নেটওয়ার্কটা চলে গিয়েছিল হঠাৎ করে, তো ওই জন্য আমাকে একটু ডিসকানেক্টেড হতে হয়েছিল। তো পিবি স্যার তো এখনো জয়েন করেনি দেখছি।
তোমার 1 মিনিট বাকি আছে, 15 থেকে না?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
দেখো, একটু দেখো সময়।
আচ্ছা, আর এই যে স্যার জয়েন করেছেন।
জয়েন করলে শুরু করে দিও।
হ্যাঁ, এই যে স্যার জয়েন করেছেন, পিবি স্যার। Good evening, sir. Sir, good evening. PB sir, good evening. Sir, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
স্যারের কি মাইক্রোফোন অফ করা আছে?
না না, মাইক্রোফোন অন আছে। পিবি স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? হ্যালো স্যার। স্যার আপনি একবার বলুন তো।
হ্যালো, পিবি স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
পিবি স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, আমি এতক্ষণ ওইটা অফ রেখেছিলাম। হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, শুনতে পাইনি এতক্ষণ। কি বলবে বলো এক্ষুনি। ওটাকে
না না, কিছু বলিনি, জাস্ট গুড ইভিনিং বললাম।
ও আচ্ছা, শুভ সন্ধ্যা, গুড ইভিনিং। আশিস বাবুকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ।
আপনাকেও স্যার।
গুড ইভিনিং স্যার।
গুড ইভিনিং নির্ঝর। নির্ঝর বললেই আমার রবীন্দ্রনাথের একটা কবিতার কথা মনে পড়ে। নির্ঝরের স্বপ্নভঙ্গ, আজিয়ে প্রভাতে রবির গড়, কেমনে পুষিল প্রাণের পর।
এন স্যার, আমরা কি স্টার্ট করব? 6:20 পর্যন্ত টাইম দেওয়া আছে। 6:20-তে তাহলে আমি ইন্ট্রোডাক্টরিটা স্টার্ট করব। 6:20 অবধি গুগল মিট জয়েন করার টাইমটা দেওয়া আছে।
তাই
অভিক এসে গেছে তো?
স্যার অভিক বোধহয় এখনো জয়েন করেছেন, স্যার শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? আচ্ছা স্যার,
কারণ ওই আমার পিপিটিটা, পাওয়ার পয়েন্টটা তো ওই দায়িত্ব নিয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ জানি, কিন্তু ও যতদূর মনে হয় এখনো জয়েন করতে পারেনি, বিকজ মুর্শিদাবাদে প্রচন্ড ঝড় বৃষ্টি হচ্ছে এখন।
আচ্ছা,
ওদের নেটওয়ার্ক মানে ইলেকট্রিসিটি এখনো পর্যন্ত আছে,
কিন্তু তোমার কাছে কি একটা কপি আছে? তুমি পারবে দেখিয়ে দিতে
আমাকে? আমি স্যার অভিককে বলেছিলাম আমাকে একটা কপি ইমেল করে রাখতে, তো আমি একবার দেখে নিচ্ছি আমাকে ইমেলটা করেছে কিনা।
আমি কি তোমাকে একটা হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ করে দেবো?
স্যার হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ করবেন না, আমাকে যদি ইমেল করতে পারেন ভালো হয়। দেখো না, এটা আমি ল্যাপটপ থেকে কন্ডাক্ট করি।
ইমেল এটা থেকে দেখছি কিভাবে হয়।
অভিক লাইনে ছিল তো, ঋতব্রতা।
অভিক, তুমি কি জয়েন করতে পেরেছো?
ওমালা নিয়ে যাও।
অভিক, অভিক জয়েন করতে পেরেছো?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম, শুনতে পাচ্ছেন? হ্যালো।
হ্যাঁ অভিক, শুনতে পাচ্ছি।
হ্যাঁ ম্যাম।
আচ্ছা অভিক, ফর সেফটি পারপাস তুমি স্যারের পিপিটিটা আমাকে একটা মেইল করে রাখো, ওকে? বিকজ তোমার ওখানে ডেটা ইন্টারনেটের প্রবলেম চলছে।
করে রাখছি।
পিবি স্যার, তাহলে আমি একটা কপি রাখছি, ইন কেস অভিকের প্রবলেম হলে আমি প্রেজেন্ট করে দেবো।
আচ্ছা, আমিও ঋতব্রতাকে একটা পাঠালাম ইমেল করে। তবে জানি না এটা গেল কিনা, বুঝতে পারছি না। হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ থেকে তো
আমি দেখে নিচ্ছি স্যার।
ঠিক আছে,
আপনারটা এসে গেছে।
একবার খুলে দেখে নাও খুলছে কিনা।
হ্যাঁ, আমি খুলে দেখে নিচ্ছি।
ম্যাম একটু বলবেন যে পিপিটি ডিসপ্লে করছে কিনা?
এক সেকেন্ড, ওকে দেখে নিচ্ছি।
এই স্লাইডটা দরকার নেই, কেমন? এটা ওই
আচ্ছা।
কম্পিউটার এরপর থেকে শুরু করো, ফান্ডামেন্টালিজম থেকে শুরু করো, সেকেন্ড স্লাইড থেকে। হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, দেখা যাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ অভিক দেখা যাচ্ছে। কিন্তু
স্যার।
অভিক, আমি 6:20 থেকে এখন ইন্ট্রোডাকশনটা স্টার্ট করব। আমি একটু
হ্যাঁ।
আমাদের কনসেপ্ট নোটটা প্রেজেন্ট করব, ঠিক আছে? তো কাইন্ডলি তুমি এই সময়টা একটু এটা সরিয়ে নাও। আমার কনসেপ্ট নোটটা প্রেজেন্ট করা হয়ে গেলে তুমি আবার এটাকে বুস্ট করে
ঠিক আছে ম্যাম। হ্যাঁ ম্যাম, হ্যাঁ ম্যাম, হ্যাঁ ম্যাম।
আচ্ছা, তাহলে আমি এখানে উপস্থিত পিবি স্যার এবং এএন স্যার দুজনের পারমিশন নিয়ে তাহলে ইন্ট্রোডাক্টরিটা এবার স্টার্ট করছি।
হ্যাঁ, করো করো।
Okay, sir. A very good evening to all the participants here, the students, research scholars, faculty members, my teachers, and everyone. This happens to be the second phase of our online lecture series. Our Association for Discussion of Politics and Society was formed the previous year during the lockdown. The basic aim of this association is to keep the academic ambience lively amidst this pandemic and stark situation. This is totally an association formed by the students from Berhampur College, as well as students from KN College, students from different colleges from the district of Murshidabad, as well as adjoining districts of Kolkata. They formed this association last year, and along with the students, we had several research scholars joining us from several universities across India. The basic aim of this association is to, as I said, because during this pandemic situation, the physical classes are being called off, colleges are closed, and along with that, the various places of academic research work, like the libraries, the archives, they are also closed. So it's being a hard time for students and research scholars alike. As a result, we are just making a humble effort, a very humble endeavor to keep the academic ambience alive so that the students, the research scholars, they don't feel detached from the academic ambience. So this association of ours is in a stage of infancy right now, and we are very blessed that we have amongst ourselves Professor Pradip Basu, Professor Devi Chatterjee, Professor Orunabo Ghosh, among us, and who have agreed to be in our advisory council. Along with this, we also have Dr. Ashish Kumar Mitro, Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, Dr. Rajesh Dash as editorial board members amongst us. And we also plan to go for a third series of online lecture, which will be happening in the next month. In the second phase that is going on right now, we had speakers. Professor Pradip Basu was the first one in the second phase, followed by Professor Devi Chatterjee, Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, Professor Orunabo Ghosh, and now again we have Professor Pradip Basu, and the concluding lecture, the lecture on the 14th, will be given by Professor Rajesh Dash. Along with this, we also have an effort in bringing out an edited volume of 4 books with ISBN. Each and every day, I present the concept note for all viewers and all participants to just see the concept note. So kindly note, I'll be just presenting the concept note right here. This is our concept note, and this happens to be the second circulation of the concept note. The first circulation was already done in the month of March, and accordingly we have some abstracts, and people are also sending the full papers, all of whom has already received the acknowledgement of their abstracts. Now this is the second circulation, and these are the themes, the book titles along with the following themes. However, keeping in mind the current pandemic situation, we haven't kept any strict deadline regarding abstract submission or the full paper submission. But I kindly request all viewers to please present abstracts and full papers accordingly. It will be of great help in bringing out the publication at least in some point of time. And along with this, I also like to inform there have been people who are calling me and contacting me regarding certificates. I would like to say that we already made some initiative on making a formal registration, but it couldn't be completed because of the corona situation. However, we are proceeding with that. So kindly, all of you, please fill the feedback link, which will be given in the mid of the lecture. And we keep giving the feedback link during the entire lecture. It's given in the chat box almost 3 to 4 times during the lecture. So all of you, please kindly fill the feedback form. It will help us to be in touch with you for future communication, basically regarding publication and certification. Along with this, we follow some rules while the lecture is going on. That is, please all of you keep your speaker muted and your camera off. And while the lecture is going on, if you have any comment or if you have any question, you can type it in the chat box. And after the lecture is over, we will be taking questions 10 minutes since the lecture is over, not after that, because there is a time constraint. So the question answer session will be concluded after the lecture of Dr. Pradip Basu, or Professor Pradip Basu. And once the lecture is over, from then, since 10 minutes, we will be taking the questions. Now I have finished saying a brief introduction as well as what our association does, the functions of our association, and a little bit of protocol that we follow during the online lecture. And one more thing, the next third phase of online lecture series, which we are planning to do it next month, we shall be having among ourselves Professor Shobhanlal Dattagupta, Professor Apurva Mukhopadhyay, Professor Nirmalya Majumdar, Professor Harihar Bhattacharya. We have already done some sort of discussion with them. The date and time are yet to be finalized, and we'll be letting you know about once our flyer is ready, the entire schedule is ready. So kindly join our Telegram group, kindly subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you keep yourself posted with the updated information regarding our association and the third phase of online lecture series along with the publication. Thanks all. Now I would request our chief editor, Professor Ashish Nandi, to kindly deliver a welcome address, which will be followed by Dr. Pradip Basu's lecture. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I would like to welcome Dr. Pradip Basu, an eminent speaker, all the teachers, scholars, and my dear students present in this webinar today. We all know that Dr. Basu is an expert on political theory and thought. Previously, he delivered 2 lectures on postmodernism in Bengali, especially for our students. Today, he is going to deliver his lecture in English, especially for the English audience. He is one of the members of our advisory board and always cooperates with us whenever necessary. So I would like to thank Professor Basu and request him to start his lecture. Thank you, sir.
Thanks to respected Professor Ashish Nandi. Thanks to once my student Ritobrata, now a professor, Ritobrata Roy. Thanks to Obhit Chatterjee. I have never seen him, but I have interacted with him very intensely because of these academic works. I also thank Nirjhar Mukherjee, professor now, and now he is a PhD student under my supervision at Presidency. I thank the Association for Discussion on Politics and Society. Today, my topic is postmodernism and religious fundamentalism. I want to make clear the theme in the beginning. Am I clearly audible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. In this lecture, I want to show something which I should mention very clearly in the beginning. Postmodernism is a critique of Western modernity. In one word. And religious fundamentalism, here in the Indian context, I particularly refer to Hindu fundamentalism. Hindu fundamentalism often claims that it makes a critique of Western modernity. It glorifies indigenous culture, it says. So some scholars, they have criticized postmodernism and they have argued that postmodernism reinforces, strengthens Hindu fundamentalism. But in my lecture, I will challenge this view. I want to show, I want to prove and demonstrate that postmodernism and Hindu fundamentalism or any kind of religious fundamentalism or any kind of fundamentalism in general are completely opposite in their character. That is my proposition. First, you see, what is fundamentalism? Here I mean religious fundamentalism. There are certain features, but before that, I will come to the beginning of use of the term. In late 19th century in USA, Protestant Christians, they were talking about some purity of Christian religion. And they tried to focus on fundamentalism. In 1920s especially. And the evangelical Protestants, they published 12 pamphlets under the title Fundamentals. Fundamentals of what? Fundamentals of Christianity, of Bible. During 1910 to 1915. After that, fundamentalism began to be used in many parts of the world in different contexts, but especially in religious context. There are many books on fundamentalism. The most important is that Markey and Appleby, they took up the project, Fundamentalism Project. And from 1991 to 1995, 5 volumes were published. So it was a very big, major work. But, well, there are many other books. One book is by Brekeke, entitled Fundamentalism, etc. What are the features of religious fundamentalism? Look at the first slide. I will talk very quickly, very briefly, because it is a very long topic and I have to finish it within a stipulated time period. Because of the weather condition, Avik called me in the afternoon and he told that to make the timing very short. First feature you see, literalism and religious texts. Fundamentalism sticks to the religious text very strictly, word by word, and interprets the meaning literally, in a literal sense. Religious text might be Bible, Quran, or Gita, Manusmriti, Manusamhita, etc. Secondly, inside-outside division. The people belonging to the religious group and supporting the fundamentalist leadership, they are inside, others are outside. Thirdly, fundamentalism propagates in favor of purity, so dogmatism. No impurities, no reforms are appreciated. Fourthly, they move to the original past time when the religious scriptures Can you hear me now?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, sir, the network is rather erratic.
Yes. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes, sir, we can hear you now.
Okay. So, fifth point is totalitarian. That means fundamentalism wants to impose its command and control and regulation over every sphere of life, of social life and personal life. Next, homogenizing. Fundamentalism does not allow for any kind of pluralism or heterogeneity. They want homogeneity. They do not allow for any kind of pluralism or heterogeneity. They want to impose homogenization. Next, political. Many people may be religious, but when the religious leaders try to capture political power, they are politically very much ambitious, then they are called fundamentalists. Next, traditional stress of modernization. Since there is a stress of modernization, so the fundamentalists, they focus on traditional life, traditional culture, traditional rituals. They glorify tradition. And fundamentalism is sometimes considered as equivalent to communalism, terrorism, fanaticism. But some scholars also say that technically, strictly speaking, these four terms are different. They can be used in with different connotations. And lastly, there are different types of fundamentalisms, like Christian fundamentalism, Jewish fundamentalism, which we find in Israel, Buddhist fundamentalism, which we find in Myanmar or in Sri Lanka, Islamic fundamentalism in Pakistan, also in Bangladesh and in different Islamic countries, and Hindu fundamentalism today we find in state power in India. Let us now come to modernity. First, we will come to pre-modernity. Please come to the next slide. Pre-modernity, then comes modernity, and then comes postmodernism. That is how I have arranged it. It is true in both senses, chronologically as well as conceptually. Pre-modernity is marked by these features. It was found in Europe in the Middle Ages and in the background of feudalism. There were multiple centers of power, unlike modern power of the nation state. There were community power, religious power, church, bishops, the feudal lords, vassals, various multiple layers and centers of power. Community, there is a predominance of community and the individual is considered as inferior to community. Age of faith. In the pre-modernity, blind faith was so much accepted that many scholars have described it as the age of faith, while modernity is considered as the age of reason. Christian theology dominated in pre-modernity, and there was personal allegiance, not the citizens' allegiance what we have today to the nation state, not that. Personal allegiance to the feudal lord or to the vassal, etc., or to the king, whatever. And man was considered as a puppet of destiny. So, the self-confidence of man as a struggling hero against the adverse circumstances, that was very much undermined because man was considered as a puppet, a doll in the hands of fate. Now we come to modernity. Next slide, please. Here you see features of political thought of Western modernity from Renaissance to Enlightenment. The background is mercantile capitalism to industrial capitalism. In the 14th century, the Middle Ages was declining and the modern age, modern period was emerging in the background of mercantile capitalism. And at that time, Renaissance started in Italy and then it spread to other parts of Western Europe and then again to other parts of Europe. In 15th century, Renaissance began to spread, already started spreading to other parts of Europe. In the 16th century, we have the Reformation, Protestant Reformation movement in Germany under the leadership of Martin Luther. In the 17th century, there was in Europe the scientific revolution. In the 18th century, there was an intellectual movement called Enlightenment. Enlightenment is the highest culmination of Western modernity, and its background was industrial capitalism. So in brief, Western modernity started during the Renaissance, with the Renaissance, and its journey went on, and during Enlightenment in the 18th century, Western modernity attained its culmination point. This is the journey of Western modernity. There are broadly 10 features of the political thought of Western modernity. Briefly, humanism to anthropocentrism. Humanism, that is importance on man, importance was given on man. It started during the Renaissance, and then it became anthropocentrism, an extreme emphasis on man during the Enlightenment. Secondly, scientific temperament started during the Renaissance, and it culminated during Enlightenment in a kind of obsession with science, which I call scientism. I don't call, actually many scholars call it scientism. Next, during Renaissance, questioning religion started in a half-hearted way, but it assumed the full shape, full form of secularism during the Enlightenment. And next, during Renaissance, blind faith began to be questioned, and during the Enlightenment, it culminated into a full-fledged rationalism. Reason became the central principle of social and intellectual life. Next is, during Renaissance, there was questioning of collectivism, and it culminated in a kind of individualism, that is individual-centric philosophy or social philosophy during the Enlightenment. Another feature of Western modernity is, sixth, during Renaissance, there was a beginning of technological development, but during the Enlightenment, it culminated into a full-fledged form of technocentrism. Technology took a central place in social life. Seventh, during Renaissance, different trains of nationalism began to emerge. You can refer to the name of Machiavelli in Italy, and it assumed a full-fledged form of a nation-state centric ideology during the Enlightenment. Nation-state became the most important social formation, not family, not religious group, not trade union, not cultural group, nothing. Nation-state became the sovereign power. 8. During the Renaissance, there was a new sense of historical development which was emerging in a half-hearted way, but it became a full-fledged historicism during the Enlightenment. And that means that world history is moving in a unilinear direction towards progress. 9. During Renaissance, there was a concern for practical politics. From the speculations of metaphysics, gradually there was a concern for practical politics. Take the example of Machiavelli. But it took a full form as empiricism and positivism during the Enlightenment. Empiricism says that knowledge comes not from any innate reason, but from our experience of the facts acquired through our sense organs. And also positivism of Auguste Comte. Positivism also gives emphasis on experience and facts and verification of knowledge as true knowledge. 10. Another feature of Western modernity is that during the Renaissance, there was a gradual rejection of idealist theory. Again, take the example of Machiavelli, who didn't subscribe to idealist theory of Plato. He was concerned with secularization of politics, and his work, Prince, was concerned with the advice for the ruler and it was about practical statecraft. And this became a full-fledged theory of modern democracy during the Enlightenment. So Western modernity has a political thought which has the following features: anthropocentrism, scientism, secularism, rationalism, individualism, nation-state-centric ideology, historicism, empiricism and positivism, and modern democracy. These are the features of Western modernity, and so of the political thought of Western modernity. So we can understand how Western modernity rejected pre-modernity, how Western modernity discarded the medieval values and ideas and thought, and Western modernity projected the principles of reason, progress, rationality, secularism, liberty, equality, fraternity. These three were the slogans of the French Revolution of 18th century of 1789. And you know, Industrial Revolution had taken place in 1760 onwards, starting from England. And so industrial capitalism constituted the historical background for the emergence of the culmination of Enlightenment, or Western modernity. So Western modernity presented before us some dreams of freedom, religion, progress, secularism, etc. It rejected medieval period as a blind period, as a dark age. Western modernity is the age of reason. It is the age of enlightenment. Now we come to the next slide. Please come to the next slide. Yes. And these dreams, these promises of Western modernity began to be critiqued from different theories: existentialism, post-structuralism, modernism, postmodernism, critical theory of Frankfurt School, post-structuralist feminism, post-colonialism, subaltern studies, etc. Among these critiques, the most virulent critique came from postmodernism. So postmodernism is the critique of Western modernity. Here I give the 21 points of the features of political ideas of postmodernism. 1 point. Many people may give objection that postmodernism does not approve of this kind of structured discussion. I know. But still I formulated this structure because we are educated in modern education system. So it will be easy for people to understand postmodernism if I take help from the structuralist presentation. If the audience, after the end of my discussion, realizes that this kind of structured presentation of postmodernism is wrong, is problematic, then I will consider that my lecture has been successful. Another point, technically there is a difference between postmodernism and post-structuralism. That is a long history. I don't discuss it here. If any time I find any opportunity, any other seminar, webinar, I will discuss. But many authors say that there is a great similarity between postmodernism and post-structuralism. That is why I put them together here. Although I am aware that technically they are different, but there are great areas of similarity, so I put. Now, postmodernism or post-structuralism. One, incredulity to meta-narratives. Lyotard said that postmodernism should be defined as incredulity to meta-narratives. Meta-narrative, simply speaking, means grand narrative, a very big theory, grand theory, which interprets all other narratives, which gives a justification, theoretical justification behind all other narratives, all other theories. And grand narrative tries to explain the world, whole world, with the help of a single theory. For example, Lyotard gives the example of Hegelian dialectics, or say Marxian historical materialism or dialectical materialism, or Adam Smith's political economy. There are different meta-narratives. Incredulity means lack of faith. Modernity believes in meta-narratives, but postmodernism does not believe in any meta-narratives. They advocate in favor of micro-theories, small theories, applicable to local or specific or particular situations. One theory cannot interpret the whole universe. Second, epistemology. Modern epistemology talks about scientific knowledge, authentic knowledge, certainty of knowledge. But postmodernism problematizes this epistemology. Epistemology means theory of knowledge. Postmodernism will say that our knowledge is very relative. My understanding of truth is not universal. There is no universal truth. This comes from Michel Foucault. And the knowledge is never authentic. They problematize the concept of scientific knowledge. Actually, that is why they use the term narrative. Narrative means a story. That means there is no scientific theory. There are only narratives, stories, Marxian narrative, Gandhian narrative. Postmodern itself, postmodernism, gives a narrative. Critique 3, critique of scientism. Modernity, Western modernity, has an obsession with science. If anything is scientific, if you claim it is scientific, many astrologers nowadays claim that I will prepare a horoscope with the help of computer. What is special about it? That it is scientific. Allopathic medicine dominates over all the other branches of medical discipline, because allopathic medicine is scientific. So Western knowledge is very much dependent on scientism, but postmodernism criticizes this obsession with science. Cost of societal rationalization. Western modernity considers that reason should enjoy the central place. There is centrality of reason in Western modernity. But postmodernism, for example, say some authors, Stephen White writes that he wrote a book, Political Theory of Postmodernism. There he discussed that the cost of societal rationalization is too high in our social life, in the social life of Western modern civilization. There is so much emphasis on instrumental reason or technical reason that emotions, sentiments, love, compassion, sympathy, kindness, all these are suppressed. But man is not absolutely a rational being. There are irrationality, passion, emotion as well in our life. Sometimes we are guided by passion. Just see, take the example of the famous novel Devdas, written by Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay, a famous Bengali author, or there is a film also, Devdas in Hindi. The hero Devdas, his love for Parvati failed, and he destroyed his own life with drinks, wine. And Parvati never do they meet, never do they reunite. This irrationality, being guided by passion, that is admitted by postmodernism. Also, on a serious tone, serious note, you see Nazism in Germany, modern Western Germany, fascism in modern Western Italy of Mussolini, and Nazism of Hitler. These are all practices of irrationality. Genocide of the Jews in the concentration camps, or the First World War, the devastations of the Second World War, the killing, genocide of Red Indians in Australia or Latin America, or racism, apartheid in South Africa or in USA. All these are instances of irrational behavior of man. So how can modernity boast of reason? This reason is the narrow reason, ethnocentric, Eurocentric reason of 18th century West Europe. Why do they claim that it has a universal truth? There are parallel contending streams of reason in the Arabian world, in India, in China. Kant talked about intrinsic rationality, reason, but Bentham talked about instrumental reason, utilitarian reason. And postmodernism says that this cost of societal rationalization shows the high price paid by man and woman, human beings, for societal rationalization by instrumental rationality or utilitarian rationality. That is calculating rationality. You are calculating everything. That is the logic of capitalism that has pervaded human society under modernity. 5, interrogating cogito. Cogito means the subject. Descartes gave the concept of cogito. He said cogito ergo sum, that means I think therefore I am. He was searching for a certain knowledge. I think therefore I am. This I, this cogito, is the ontological source of epistemological certainty in Western philosophy. Ontological source means, ontology means being. It is the existential source. Source in being, the subject, me, I, self. It is the source for epistemological certainty. That means modernity believes that if there is no subject, how can knowledge be possible? And this subject is self-conscious, transparent. It is above social and historical structures and conditions. Once Partho Chatterjee wrote that this Western concept of subject in Western modern Western philosophy, it is very arrogant. It is pampered brat, B-R-A-T, brat, pampered brat, precocious boy, overconfident boy. But postmodernism does not accept this concept of subject. It problematizes this concept of subject. It says that subject is not autonomous. Subject is subjected to historical conditions, structures, social structures, gender, class, caste, nationality, tribal identity, race. That is the position of the structuralists. And postmodernism says that the subject and the structures both are not stable, both are unstable. Moreover, postmodernism says that they believe in a decentering of the subject. There is not a consistent, coherent, self-conscious, rational subject. No. Next is the critique of humanism. Modernity gave emphasis on man-centric theory, on narrative. But postmodernism will say that this is the arrogance of man. Anthropocentrism is discarded by postmodernism. Anthropos means man. Anthropocentrism means human-centric approach. Because there are animal world, plant kingdom. Man is not the Lord. Bacon once said, after Renaissance, Bacon said that man will acquire knowledge and will exercise power over nature. This modern view is arrogant. Man is considered as the master or the lord over nature. But postmodernism does not accept this view. Postmodernism says that plant kingdom, animal kingdom, this non-living nature, these are also extremely important. They are not simple instruments for the consumption, for the satisfaction of the greed of man. Long back, our Bengali poet Rabindranath Tagore wrote that Bishwa bhara Surya tara, Akash bhara Surya tara, Bishwa bhara pran, tahari majkhane ami pechi mostha. That means this sky full of stars and sun, there are so many different forms of life in the world. I, a human being, has a humble place in this world. Long before postmodernism emerged, Rabindranath Tagore wrote this song. This is in tune with postmodern view. And that is why postmodernism criticized the modern endeavor to destroy ecology and environment. Critique of historicism. Modernity gives emphasis on a world historical march in a unilinear course of development towards progress and freedom. Kant believed in that. Hegel very strongly believed in that. Even Marx was influenced by this Enlightenment view of historical progress. That is why the concept of historical materialism became so much important. Materialist interpretation of history. That was the term used by Marx, but historical materialism was used by other Marxists. But the basic idea is that world history is marching. True that in his later life, Marx admitted that he believes that his theory is about the Western Europe. He does not think that his theory is universally applicable even to Asia, Africa, and other parts of the world. True, Marx admitted that. But still there were certain writings in which Marx displayed this influence of Hegel. But postmodernism does not believe in historicism. Postmodernism says that there are different histories, local histories, micro histories. There is no unilinear path of history. All histories are not moving towards progress or freedom in a rational course of development. History has its zigzag, forward and backward. And how to judge which one is forward and which one is backward? It is very much problematic. What are the criteria to judge which one is progressive and which one is retrogressive? Postmodernism rejects this West Europe-centric view of historiography, imitated, followed in different parts of the whole world academia. Heterogeneity and pluralism, postmodernism glorifies heterogeneity and pluralism, whereas Western modernity gives emphasis on homogeneity and monolithic nature of society. Responsibility to the other. Modernity gives emphasis on self, and difference with the other glorifies the self, asserts the self-identity. But postmodernism has a very humble position. It says that self has a responsibility to the other. Levinas wrote about it. Also, Stephen White discussed it in his book. Responsibility to the other must be accepted by the self because the self is dependent on the other. Critique of secularism. Modernity believes that spiritualism, religion, these are to be banished from public domain or political affairs or state. It is a private matter of private domain. But postmodernism says that spiritual ideas are pervading our consciousness. So how can you totally reject it, discard it, exclude it from the public domain? So secularism is not appropriate for common people in the Western sense. Critique of nationalism. Modernity, I already said that they glorified the nation state as the sovereign ultimate power. Postmodernism says that nation state is a recent phenomenon. In the writings of Machiavelli, Rousseau, Baudin, Hobbes, Hegel, this concept of nation state has emerged. But postmodernism will say that only during the Westphalia Treaty, peace treaty of 1648, this modern nation states began to emerge. Postmodernism will argue that there are many other communities, families, trade unions, cultural associations, sports associations, religious associations, educational associations, organizations. So, why should we give priority to the identity of the nation state? Identity has several dimensions: religious, class, caste, gender, race, nation. Why only nation, national identity should be prioritized over others? Critique of technocentrism. Modernity gives emphasis on technology. It measures the development of civilization on the basis of the criterion of technological development, advancement. Satyajit Ray, the famous film director, in his film Agontuk, he showed that civilization cannot be measured by technology. Civilization can be measured by human values, finer qualities of humanity, cultural enrichment, not by technology. Celebration of tolerance. Modernity propagates intolerance, but postmodernism is an advocate of tolerance. Critique of liberalism or individualism. Modernity gives emphasis on liberalism, individual rights, individual liberty, individual interest. But postmodernism has a different definition of individual. That individual is rooted in community, language. Modernity has the concept of individual, which is rational, selfish, has instrumental rationality. But postmodern concept of individual is more compassionate, more tolerant. It depends on the other. Critique of totality, modernity, all the major narratives of grand narratives of modernity talks about totality. But Lyotard has shown in his book Postmodern Conditions that this totality cannot be accepted in postmodernism because there are different life worlds of different people. My totality, my world is different from your world. My dreams are different from your dreams. So one universal totality or any kind of totality, economic totality of capitalism or the Hindu totality of religion or Christian totality of Christianity, religion, should not be imposed. Anti-essentialism. Modernity gives emphasis on essence of an entity. We know the phenomenological philosopher Husserl gave emphasis on the essence, essential meaning of a word. But postmodernism says that there is no essence. There is no human essence. There is no essence. Just think of 9/11. A passenger plane was hijacked by the terrorists and it attacked the Twin Towers. Its essence as a passenger plane was transformed into the essence of a missile. Or say Muslim. One Muslim is a Shia, another Muslim is a Sunni. One Muslim is a Baul. Another Muslim, maybe a Rohingya or a Ahmadiyya. Bengali Muslims do not speak Urdu. North Indian Muslims speaks Urdu. Actually, there are different types of Muslims. Muslims in Indonesia, they read Ramayana. Muslims in Bangladesh, they fight for their Bengali language. That is why we have the International Bengali Language Day, Mother Tongue Day, 21st February. The movement of 1952, 21st February. Actually, different types, different kinds and forms are there. So essentialism must be discarded. Then we come to discourse and Foucault's concept of power. It is a very big, vast subject. I will just briefly take one thing from here, that Foucault says that the concept of natural is to be problematized, is problematic. Our thought, our belief, our emotions, our reasoning, everything is implicated with discourse, power, dominant institutions, and language. Discourse and power teach me that this is truth, this is lie, and I learn, I think in that way. So my thought is not natural. I am not natural. I am constituted by power. My thought is constituted by power. The invisible power, the fine capillaries of power in modern society were explored by Michel Foucault. Foucault, according to Foucault, Suppose his book, History of Sexuality. See, this modernity says that homosexuality is abnormal, unnatural. But postmodernism will say, post-structuralism will say, Foucault said that this normal, abnormal, this is the result of homogenization, normalization of modern society. In ancient Greek society, homosexuality was not considered as abnormal. So, heterosexuality is considered normal because of power. Now we come to meaning and language. Modernity believes that language represents the reality in a transparent way. It is a transparent medium, and meaning is authentic. But post-structuralism will say that meaning is politically constructed. The author's intention is not authentic. It depends on the context and the reader. Meaning is politically constructed. Meaning of the text. And the language teaches us what is what. We cannot think without language. Language constructs the world, the reality. 19, Derrida's deconstruction. It is also a very vast subject. Very briefly, deconstruction problematizes the binaries of modernity. Modernity taught us to think in this way, that there is a binary between black and white, good and bad, man and woman, culture and nature, day and night, male and female, young and old, west and east. But deconstruction will say, just 1 second. Deconstruction will say that the boundary walls between the binaries are not stable. They can be and should be dismantled. That is why white and black, day and night, these binaries are dismantled. Deconstruction says that meaning is in a text, certain hierarchy is there, and meaning is the result of that hierarchy. Hierarchy of words. Some words are in a superior position and some words are on the margin. But if you change the order of the hierarchy, if you pick up the words from the margin and put them at the center, and the words in the center, if you push them back, if they are relegated to the margin, periphery, then the meaning of the text will change. So no meaning is eternal or constant. No meaning of any text. And these binaries are to be dismantled. That is why, under the influence of deconstruction, postmodern people post-structuralist people are giving emphasis on eunuchs, transgender, third gender, LGBTQIA+. Now, in ancient India, there was this concept of eunuchs, Brihannala, Shikhondi, in Ramayana and Mahabharata. There is a idol of Krishna. Half is black, dark Krishna, and half is fair, white Radha. Now, privileging new social movements in modernity, at first there were liberal democratic movements which focused on the political demands like universal adult suffrage or franchise, voting rights, or freedom of speech, freedom to criticize the government, etc. Then came the Marxists. Marxists focused on the class struggle for economic demands, for abolition of private property and economic exploitation by capitalism. But postmodernism and post-structuralism, they are more concerned about new social movements, like the movements on gender issues, ecology, environment issues, child rights, sex workers, homosexuals, lesbians, transgenders, LGBTQIA+, human rights, peace rights, anti-war, anti-race, anti-caste, the Dalit movements. And last one is postmodernity or postmodern conditions. Lyotard, or say David Harvey. This book is The Conditions of Postmodernity. They talk about the historical formation of postmodernity. So far we have discussed the postmodern theory, political theory of postmodernism, but they talked about postmodernity as a historical condition or formation. Canada, North America, that is USA, Canada, etc. Which are these societies are marked by share market rather than manufacturing production of capitalism, industrial production. No, share market, no production, but millions of dollars are or pounds are accumulated as profit. And also service sector, and also Baudrillard talks about this this imitation world. There is a term, just now I forgot. And also they talk about the virtual reality becoming more important, predominant than actual reality. Now I come to our Hindu fundamentalism. You see, Hindu fundamentalism, I want to show that Hindu fundamentalism pretends to be a critique of Western modernity by glorification of indigenous Indian culture, Hindu culture. But actually, it provides us with a Hindu kind of fundamentalist modernity. So, postmodernism totally rejects Hindu fundamentalism. Take the example of Hindu state. Hindustan. That is the slogan of Hindu fundamentalism. Just think of it. Indian Constitution made provisions for a secular state. All religions were accepted. No state religion. Every citizen has the right to religious freedom. And there is the provision for democracy, federalism. So pluralism, secularism, democracy, federalism, these are the provisions of the Indian Constitution. Because the Constitution makers understood the plural nature of Indian society. Even Europe being a continent do not have this much of complexity in society, language, culture, religion, what India has. If you want a Hindu state, then you make the Christians, Muslims, Parsis, Jews, Sikhs, Buddhists, all people of other religions become second-class citizens. That is what was wanted by the protagonists of Hindu fundamentalism, Savarkar, Golwalkar, Hedgewar. Can this be accepted by postmodernism? Is it not an extreme form of homogenization? Attempt to create a monolithic society. Again, what do you call Hindu? There are Shaivas, there are Shaktas, Vaishnavas. All are Hindus. We Bengalis worship goddess Durga, Kali. By birth, I am a Hindu. My parents worshipped Durga, Kali. But in North India, Ram, the god Rama is worshipped. And Rama, in the supposed birthplace of Rama in Ayodhya, in 1992, the Babri Masjid was demolished by force by the Hindu fundamentalists. And they are now going to build up a Rama Mandir, a Rama temple, at the cost of at least 2,400 crores of rupees. Well, you can certainly erect a Rama temple, but why through destruction, demolition of a mosque? What is the Hindu culture? Who is a Hindu? You cannot impose the North Indian Hindi-speaking Hindu culture over the rest of this diverse, plural society of India. Postmodernism teaches us, true that postmodernism has many negative aspects. Actually, I forgot to mention that postmodernism cannot give any alternative. Once Foucault was asked, what is the alternative of modernity? Foucault said, I don't know anything about that. I can only make a critique of what is in the Western modernity. That is a drawback of postmodernism. And they do not propagate any agenda for political action. So Marxists are very much critical of postmodernism. But I am trying to say that some aspects of postmodernism can be employed, can be used in the struggle against fundamentalism, especially Hindu fundamentalism in India. Of course, we we should fight against Muslim fundamentalism in Pakistan, who try to create a monolithic, homogeneous Muslim society. But even then, you see, Muslims are so many types. Shia, Sunnis, Ahmadiyas, just now I said. So, pluralism is in the nature of any society. Modernity was criticized because it favored homogenization. Similarly, fundamentalism must be discarded because it wants to impose homogenization at the cost of plurality. Stephen Best and Douglas Kellner, they wrote many books on postmodernism. They said there are two types of postmodernism, ludic and oppositional. Ludic, L-U-D-I-C, that is related to ludo, the ancient Greek or Latin word, play, game. This postmodernism says everything is for granted. But oppositional postmodernism, post-structuralism, Foucault, Derrida, Lacan, that can be used against our struggle, in our struggle against fundamentalism. Now you see, if you impose, Hindu fundamentalism is trying to impose Hindi language. But why not? There are 1,052 major languages in India and small languages, countless. So why do you want to use Hindi, impose Hindi as the national language of India? There is no national language in India by Indian Constitution. There is only official language, English and Hindi. What about Punjabi, Kashmiri, Gujarati, Bangla, Tamil, Telugu, Odia, Malayalam, Kannada, Gujarati? What about those languages? Adivasi, Santal. Not only that, Hindi is also of different types. Bhojpuri, Maithili. Rajasthani Hindi is not exactly the same with the Hindi of Bihar or UP. And the Hindu fundamentalists are saying that the caste, the scheduled caste reservation will be thrown away. But see, there are so many scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, OBC, other backward classes, A, other backward classes, B. The caste system, the Dalits are there. How can you impose the Brahminical upper caste, Hindi-speaking, North Indian culture over the rest of India? You abolished Article 370 in Kashmir. But what about the special provisions in Northeast, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, in the tribal areas which are provided by the Indian Constitution? Can you deny this diversity? And what about freedom of speech? If somebody criticizes the government, he is imprisoned, put under jail. A very old person, Stan Swami, has been put under jail, and many others like him. And they are trying to identify the Muslims as the other. Postmodernism says the self must have responsibility and respect for the other. But Hindu fundamentalism, they are trying to isolate the Muslims, to condemn the Muslims. The NRC, NPR, CAA, NRC, National Register of Citizenship, NPR, National Population Register, CAA, Citizenship Amendment Act 2003, and then 2019. All these are to identify the Muslims, to send them to the detention centers already set up in Assam, in Gwalpokria. You have destroyed Babri Masjid. You are killing Muhammad Akhlaq for keeping beef in his refrigerator, fridge. You are forcing Muslims to chant Joy Sri Ram. But did Rama of the Ramayana ever want to impose any totalitarian control? We have read that Rama wanted the well-being of the whole subjects, Praja Palunkari. He was a good king, like a father. But in his name, why are you imposing your Hindu fundamentalism upon the Muslims? Hundreds of Muslims were killed, women were raped in Gujarat in 2002 in the Gujarat genocide. So the point is that you cannot impose who will eat what. We Bengalis eat fish, like it, but North Indian Brahmins, they reject non-veg food. South Indian people, they don't like non-veg food. They are vegetarians. Northeast people, they eat beef. Many people eat beef. Adivasi tribal people, many of them eat beef. Some will eat beef, some will eat pork, some will eat fish, some will eat vegetables. You cannot standardize, you cannot homogenize, you cannot impose a monolithic rule. And they said that these homosexual people are criminals or they are abnormal people. That is a humiliation. That is a humiliation for the transgender people, LGBTQIA+, and the homosexual and lesbian people. That is a humiliation for them also. You cannot impose your binary between male and female. We have to deconstruct this binary. We cannot impose it. And you see, Hindu fundamentalists are talking about universal civil code. True, it should be introduced. But which version will be the uniform civil code? The version of North Indian Hindi-speaking Brahmin? If you want to impose a universal civil code, you have to consult the Adivasi tribal people, Aboriginal people, consult the Muslims, the Christians, the Buddhists, the Parsis, the Bengalis, Tamils, Telugus, Malayalis, Punjabis, Kashmiris, Nagas, Mijos, Gujaratis, women, men, third gender, transgender, Dalit. The civil code should be learned from all communities through interaction and dialogue. Only a uniform civil code, a pluralistic, federal, democratic civil code can be introduced. Hindu fundamentalists are talking about one-party rule. Is it not another instance of suppression of plurality and toleration? They are talking about one election throughout the country. It will be a new practice. But will it not be an attempt to impose a monolithic character? The Patel statue, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue, has been imported from China, and 3,000 crores of rupees have been spent. Okay, he is a symbol of unity, but this symbol must not be used as an instrument of othering, instrument of detaching other people. And during the COVID situation, I must say that this 20,000 rupees statue, this 2,400, 20,000 crores rupees for statue, 2,400 crores of rupees for this Ram temple, 24,000 crore rupees for Central Vistas, the new building of Parliament and Prime Minister's residence, the new bullet train, the private use aeroplane for the Prime Minister. These people, industrialists, Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, they have stolen thousands and thousands of crores of rupees from Indian nationalized banks, the money of the people. All these have been stolen. And you failed to provide free vaccination for the Indian citizens, free oxygen. Hospitals are not there, totally absent. What kind of monolithic culture you are trying to impose? You have introduced the anti-farmer laws, and that is why thousands and thousands of farmers from Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, they are now demonstrating in the streets of New Delhi for several months. At least 200 people have died. But you are not encouraging economic pluralism. Hindu fundamentalists are giving all industry into the hands of the Adani, Ambani, the corporate industrialists. 28 families have profited 200, 300, 400 times during this lockdown period when the immigrant workers, they are traveling, walking, male and female workers with their family children, walking 400 kilometers, 500 kilometers during the lockdown after Corona. So I am trying to say, also there is the labor code, 4 labor codes against the working class. And there is the new education policy for regimentation over education. The fundamentalists are selling out banks, privatization of banks, LIC, Life Insurance Corporation, Air India, railways, coal industries, all the national assets, all our national assets, all national assets are being sold out to 28 families, global capital, corporate capital. So it is a great attack on plural India, on federal India. The freedom of the state governments are snatched away by the central government. And you see, this attack is justified in the name of making India a big power. This power, this hankering after power, that is against the principle of postmodernism. Postmodernism will reject each and every policy that the Hindu fundamentalists are adopting. See the major national institutions, Reserve Bank of India, Central Bureau of Investigation, Life Insurance Corporation, Election Commission, Judiciary, Bureaucracy, all are being regulated by one single center. And JNU, Jadavpur University and Jawaharlal Nehru University students were attacked by Hindu fundamentalists because they wanted to resist Hindu fundamentalism in the name of Marx, in the name of Ambedkar, in the name of feminism. And what is the attack on women? It is said that love jihad should be made illegal. The law has been passed in many states. What is love jihad? That a Hindu girl must not marry a Muslim boy. That is a conspiracy of the Muslims. So this marriage is banned because it is love jihad. And a Hindu girl should not have a Muslim boyfriend. A Hindu girl should not sit in the park with her boyfriend. Must not have Muslims as friends. Must not put on Western dress like miniskirt or ripped jeans. Must not observe Valentine's Day. What is all this? A Hindu woman at the age of menstruation, not at the time of menstruation, but during the age of menstruating age, must not enter in a temple of Sabarimala temple. What are these things? You are dictating that a Muslim must chant Jai Sri Ram, a Muslim must not eat beef, a Christian must not eat beef, an Adivasi must not eat beef, and a woman, a Hindu woman, must not have the right to decide about her life partner, about her marriage, about her friendship, about her dress. So, finally, I will conclude that while postmodernism is criticizing modernity, see, modernity has some good elements, of course. Modernity, as Kant said in his article, What is Enlightenment of 1784, Kant said that coming out of the dependence from on others is enlightenment. Self-incurred immaturity should be thrown away. Be self-dependent, autonomous. That is enlightenment. That is being modern. This is a good idea. Good idea to uphold freedom. But modernity has also a negative side, that is regimentation, homogenization, normalization, standardization, creating a monolithic society in the name of reason. And Hindu fundamentalism is claiming that it is criticizing Western modernity because it glorifies Hindu indigenous culture. But I tried to show that they are pretending to oppose the Western modernity, but they are imitating the Hindu fundamentalist modernity. They are imitating the monolithic attempt of Western modernity, and they are glorifying the Hindu fundamentalist modernity. They are trying to destroy the pluralism of Indian society, toleration, the responsibility to the other, just like Hitler created the other in the Jews and destroyed them, killed them in the concentration camps. Similarly, the Hindu fundamentalists are trying to identify the Muslims as their other, the Christians as their other. True that Muslim fundamentalists are also doing the same thing in Pakistan. Actually, all fundamentalists, Muslim or Christian or Buddhist or Hindu, they all are trying to impose a homogenized, monolithic mold upon the pluralistic societies. Muslim fundamentalism imposes burqa, compulsory, on Muslim women. The Talibans, think of the Talibans or Al-Qaeda, many Muslim fundamentalists, they are trying to impose that women must not go out of home for education, for office job, for driving. They must put on burqa. Their dress code should be followed, which is dictated by the Muslim fundamentalists. So I am trying to say that any kind of fundamentalism is to be discarded by postmodernism. But since I am in India, and in India, Muslim fundamentalism is in power, state power, so I am criticizing, mainly I am criticizing the Hindu fundamentalism, because Hindu fundamentalism in India is in state power. And Muslim fundamentalism is in state power in Pakistan. And in Bangladesh, Muslim fundamentalism is trying to capture power. But there is a strong resistance in Bangladesh against fundamentalism. That is all. I said I would finish at 8 p.m. I have finished. Now I want to see the questions. I want to read them.
Sir, shall we start with the question answer?
Yes, please.
Okay, sir. You wish to read the questions on your own?
I want to see the questions.
Yes, sir. So kindly scroll the chat box.
Okay, chat box.
Yes, sir. On your left.
Yes. But I cannot see any question.
So probably no questions has been placed till now.
Okay.
But my problem is I got disconnected several times because there's a network issue in my area.
Yes,
So-
someone.
May I make a point here? May I make a point?
Yes.
I've been connected to the webinar continuously since the beginning of the meeting, but it seems that due to inclement weather, there has been a dearth of questions for this session, because somebody by the name of Deepika Ghosh has unfortunately lamented that due to
Yes.
thunder and lightning, she has not been able to attend the webinar properly.
I see. Okay.
Yes, most of our students are also facing the same issue, the thunder and lightning.
Okay.
So, sir, in such a situation, what to do? Shall we proceed?
Iman has a question. Iman.
Okay, so the questions are coming.
Iman Suraj.
So please see Imon Suraj. He is first sem student, Pol Science Honors.
Can I know who is he?
Yes, he is first semester Pol Science Honors student in our college.
First year student.
Yes, sir. First semester.
She is a student.
He is a student, sir.
He is a student in
Yes,
your
sir.
college.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can anything be called fundamentalism other than what we call fundamentalism? such as post-vote violence in our state, or such behavior between socialists versus capitalists. Can we call them capitalist fundamentalism or socialist fundamentalism, or can it be called Hitler's fascist fundamentalism? See, Imon, the point is that there are different types of operations, dominations, discriminations in the world. Post-vote violence in West Bengal, or communal riots in Gujarat, or as a fight between socialists and capitalists. All these kinds of fight, struggle, domination, discrimination, oppression, or injustice are there. But fundamentalism is a particular type. Not all are fundamentalism. In my first slide, I have defined. I studied quite a good number of books, especially that written by 5 volumes, written by Marty and Appleby during 1991 to 1995. These 5 volumes, also Breke's book. I have seen these books, and fundamentalism has a definite formation, structure. There is a definition of it. So whatever you have mentioned is not fundamentalism. Fundamentalism must be recognized with reference to the features which I have mentioned in my first slide. You please kindly look at the first slide and you will understand that these features are not present everywhere. So only those features constitute a fundamentalism. Okay, all kinds of operation are not fundamentalism. I have studied the books written by so many experts on fundamentalism, and on the basis of my study, I have formulated these features. If anything has got these features, only then I can call it a fundamentalism. But that does not mean that this kind of operations I am supporting, this kind of dominations I am supporting, not at all. But here in this webinar, I am talking about fundamentalism and postmodernism. That is why other kinds of operations, injustice or dominations, I have not discussed. That does not mean I have supported them. I hope I have clarified my position.
So there's another question in Bengali.
Shubhankar Das.
Yes.
Inike.
He is also a student from our college. He is also probably in first semester.
আচ্ছা, শুভঙ্কর গত 1 দশকে বিশেষত ভারতে ধর্মীয় মৌলবাদ এত বেশি গুরুত্ব পাওয়ার অন্যতম কারণ কি স্যার? It is a very good question. More research are undertaken by different scholars. There are many reasons, you know. Rajiv Gandhi, the opening of the Ram temple, then the controversy, worship was allowed in the Ram temple, then the BJP tried to consolidate its forces. How can it do it? It can do it if it can win over the support of the people. So they used the RSS network, Saraswati School, and many other Bahini, Durga Bahini, etc. These different kinds of Bajrang Dal, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, all these organizational networks were given a boost up. And the issue of Rama temple, Ayodhya, the question of building up the Rama temple by demolishing the Babri Masjid, that began to be focused, highlighted. And then the Ratha Yatra that was conducted by Advani. In this way, certain communal riots were organized, in most cases by Hindu fundamentalists. And these communal riots created a kind of sense of insecurity among the Hindus. Hindu khatre mein hai. This became a popular slogan that the Hindus are insecure. They are in danger because the Muslims are militants, Jongi, they are terrorists, they are torturing the minorities in Pakistan and Bangladesh. The Sikhs, Christians in Pakistan, the Hindus in Bangladesh, their temples and gurdwaras or churches are destroyed by the Muslims. It is said, it is propagated, that is the campaign of the Hindu fundamentalists. Maybe there is some truth. I don't deny it. There is some truth that minorities are tortured in Pakistan and forcibly converted into Islam in Pakistan, in Bangladesh. And there are many terrorists also who are Muslims. But see, there are Sri Lankan terrorists, LTTE, Tamilam. They were not Muslims. They were Tamils. There are Buddhist terrorists. There are Christian terrorist organizations, white terrorist organizations in USA, Ku Klux Klan. So, but the Hindu fundamentalists, they tried to propagate and campaign, conduct a countrywide campaign among the Hindus that the Muslims are aggressive, dogmatic. They are increasing in their number through love jihad, through 4 marriages, through illegal immigration in India. All these factors and the evil functioning of Al-Qaeda, Taliban's, that also created a very dark picture about the Muslims throughout the world. All these combined together, the Hindu fundamentalists, they demolished the Babri Masjid. That created a kind of boost up in Hindu psychology that I may not have job, I may not have education, I may not have food, not kerosene, not warm clothes for winter or a proper shelter. I just have the pride that I am a Hindu. All the drawbacks, all the inadequacies, wants, all the wants, darts are compensated by being a Hindu. Understand? Try to understand. I am a poor rickshawala. I was talking to a poor rickshawala here. He was telling me, sir, I have no job. My children have no education. My wife is working as a maid I am very poor, but I know now that I am a Hindu. The Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji has created a kind of confidence in my mind, in my heart. So you see, the economic and material wants are not satisfied. There is no job, no education, no health facilities, no housing. But these wants are compensated by providing a psychological confidence that I am a Hindu. Muslims are threatened by me, threatened by Hindu. Hindus were in khatre, in danger, were insecure. But now we are not in danger. We have our great leader, we have our great party. We are going to set up a Hindu state, and then we will achieve everything. All these reasons are responsible for the growth of. Also, you see, there is Muslim fundamentalism. So, two fundamentalism are complementary to each other. If Muslim fundamentalism is strong in Bangladesh and Pakistan, then Hindu fundamentalism will get a boost up. And if Hindu fundamentalism is strong in India, then Muslim fundamentalism will get a boost up in Pakistan and Bangladesh. For all these reasons, it requires more in-depth research. I am just giving a very superficial, immediate analysis. For this reason, fundamentalism has become so strong. M.A. Rahman, who is he?
He is a student from Alia University.
Alia University of Murshidabad.
Alia University, I think, sir, the one which is
No,
near
Kolkata.
Damdam.
Oh, Kolkata. I see.
Damdam Airport.
Rajarhat.
Rajarhat, yes. I have seen this building. What is logocentrism? Very good question. It is a question of philosophy, actually. I am a trespasser in this field, but I know this. See, logos in Greek, ancient Greek, it means truth, knowledge, word, or meaning. Logocentrism is a term used by Derrida in his theory of deconstruction. Derrida said that right from Plato till today, Western philosophy, especially modern Western philosophy, is marked by logocentrism. That means they are running after meaning, truth, meaning of a word, meaning of a text, meaning of this world. And this meaning has truth hidden in it. To explore this meaning is to explore the truth. This is logocentrism. But deconstruction says there is this concept of some authentic meaning of a text, some authentic intention of the author, the authoritative meaning given by the author, this absolute truth in the text. This is a farce. This is highly problematic because meaning is constructed by dominant discourse of society, power, dominant discourse, dominant power, dominant institutions, and language. So, logocentrism is chasing a wild goose. You are running after an illusion, because this ultimate truth, authentic truth, that is an illusion, an infatuation. It is a farce. It is a bluff. It is a hoax in a simple way. M.A. Rahman said, sir, it is related to exactly. Post-structuralism has one derivative of post-structuralism is deconstruction. Derrida is a post-structuralist as well as a deconstructionist. Derrida's deconstruction is based upon the ideas of post-structuralism, and he contributed in a special way to the development of deconstruction. Okay.
Sir?
So there is no other question.
Yeah, there is no other question.
We can.
Hopefully, we are at the end of the question answer session.
Okay.
Naseem Hussain, do you want to say anything? Naseem Hussain,
No,
I
ma'am.
see your speaker is unmuted.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, okay. In that case, sir, we'll wrap up today's session.
Yes.
And I suddenly had a power cut in my area, so I just can't on the video right now. The camera, I have to keep the camera off, and I got disconnected also. So anyway, sir, thanks a lot for such a rich and enlightening discussion on fundamentalism versus religious fundamentalism versus postmodernism.
Acha, Ritobrata,
yes, sir.
This is simultaneously broadcast through YouTube now. YouTube Live?
Yes, sir. YouTube Live is continuously going on since you started your lecture. So we have viewers there also and here also. So I requested people from YouTube viewers to kindly post the questions in this chat.
Yeah.
Yes, over here. So since we are almost at the end of this fruitful session, today we have amongst ourselves Professor Ashish Mitro from Calcutta University, and he would like to say a few words and present vote of thanks to our very dearest Professor Pradip Basu. So I would now request Professor Ashish Kumar Mitro from Calcutta University to kindly present himself.
Professor Mitro, from which discipline?
Thank you very much, Ritobrata. And
yes.
Unfortunately, I cannot, turn my video on because of the same problem, power cut. But it's been thoroughly enjoying evening. Although I was unable to attend in time because I had a couple of classes there in my university, and then there was a short lecture, and after that I was able to enter into this probably at 7 p.m. So I missed a few first half an hour's discussion probably, and as I could see that this is the second part of the lecture, and I had the opportunity to listen few fundamental areas when sir was discussing, and we are really grateful to Professor Pradip Basu for this magnificent lecture, and he addressed many theoretical areas, and this will definitely help our students and this particular forum as well. And since we have viewers from different parts of our state and probably outside the state as well, because this event is broadcasted through YouTube and the other mediums, Facebook Live probably. So, and as requested by Professor Nandi, in fact, he called me in the morning, and I tried to be there in time, but unfortunately, since I have said that I couldn't do it, sorry for that. But
Professor Mitro,
yes,
I would just like to introduce you to Professor Basu. He was asking me about you. So
okay.
I'm really sorry, but Professor PB sir, Professor Ashish Mitro happens to be an alumnus.
Just 1 second. It is written Dr. Ashish Mistry.
Yeah.
Yes. Not
So
Mitro.
right. So he happens to be a former student of Berhampur College.
I see.
Yes, he happens to be an alumni, and right now he is in Calcutta University, Department of Political Science.
Oh, I see. Congratulations. Great to know you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, before Calcutta University, I was there in Qazi Nazrul University in Asansol for 5+ years. And before that, I was, serving at Krishnanagar Government College for a year and so. And then there was a short span of time I spent there in RBC College, Rishi Bankim Chandra College, Noihati. So that's that. In fact, I graduated at, I think in the year of 2008, and then post-graduated from Kolani University in 2010. So I'm pretty young to you, sir, and it's an honor for me to listen to you. And I had the opportunity in the past to listen to you in various other forums, but today is a new experience, and along with our students, in fact, we have thoroughly enjoyed this magnificent lecture. And after this brainstorming exercise, I would say, and since there are multiple, theoretical areas which you have exceptionally presented with ease, I would say. So this will ultimately help our, listeners.
Thank you.
Obviously, I'm quite thankful to the forum and the organizers, Ritobrata, Professor Nandi, and the students. And I'm quite optimistic about the future programs as well. So it's a big thank you from my side. Thank you very much. Good night.
Welcome. And I thank the association for politics, for discussion on politics and society. I thank once my student, Professor Ritobrata Rai. I thank now my student, Professor Nirjar Mukherjee. I thank Professor Dr. Ashish Mistry. I also thank Professor Ashish Nandi. And I also thank Obhik Chatterjee. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, Professor Mistry, Professor Basu, PB sir. Thanks a lot for bringing the college days back. As you were lecturing, I was really being nostalgic and going back to the college days and imagining the way you used to teach us. Thanks a lot, sir. With this, we come to the end of our today's session. And I would like to wish everybody good night and a very good day, and see you in the next session, that is on 14th.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye. Good night. Good night.